Hi guys, it's me, Ellen. Um, this is like Fibromyalgia #2 video. Um, I went to the ER and the doctor there consulted with a couple other doctors and he diagnosed me with fibromyalgia. I was having problems with my doctor's office. Um, the medication that he suggested, Cymbalta. Oh, excuse me. I'm like whistling here. Anyway, he needed prior authorization from my pharmacy, from my insurance, and because the way he wrote the script. Now, hospital doctors cannot ask for a prior authorization. That has to come from your primary care physician. So I called and let them know that because there was two medications. One is a cream for my knees. I need to have them replaced, but obviously I can't have surgery right now. So anyway, went round and round with the doctor's nurse. She flat out lied to me and told me main care wouldn't cover it because that's my insurance, main care. Because I'm disabled, the state pays for my health care. I don't get any financial compensation from the state. It's a deal that they have with the federal government, which is fine because with all the medical care I need, I sort of feel bad. Let me just, do this side note here. For 4 years, I was incredibly sick and getting these horrible infections. And my doctor at the time just kept saying they were diabetic ulcers, and they weren't. In 4 years, I had over 400 of them. That is ridiculous. In the first month when it started, in September of 2011, I had 19 in 1 month. Now, I have lymphedema, and it started when I was about 13, and that's when it started for my girls. They both got it. My sister has it, my mother, both my sisters, I should say. It runs in the family on the female side. But the first month when I had 19, that was more than I had had in my whole entire life. And these ones were huge, And it's a pain in the ass, yes, but we know what medication works for it now and all that. But he just kept saying they're diabetic ulcers. And I knew it wasn't a diabetic ulcer because I'd seen them before. And they're not the same. Plus, the year before this all started, I had gotten a lymphedema and then got one on top of it. It was extremely painful. I went to the ER and they took me down to surgery right away. And the surgeon who did the surgery said to me, he said, "Oh honey, these are not diabetic ulcers. You have lymphedema," which I already thought, but my doctor wouldn't give me the diagnosis, right? So, yeah, I went for 4 years. He put me on an antibiotic that is an important antibiotic to take for my pyoderma, but since I took it for 14 months, my body is now immune to it and I can't take it anymore. So, he really screwed me over on that one. So, back to, so, like I said, sick for 4 years with this lymphedema, and I told you, I got them in my mouth, and they destroyed the roots of my teeth. My teeth would just fall out or break off or whatever. It didn't hurt because the root was dead. Same thing with my hair, made my hair fall out, but it grows back. I have a little patch in the back where I had a really bad lymphedema last year while I was in the hospital. It was humongous. It was about the size of, I would say, a saucer, and it looked like I had been shot, and that was the exit wound. And I, lost all my hair. Where you get the lymphedema, all the hair's gone. And I've had to grow back patches of hair many times. but this one is slow to grow back. So I got a little spot in the back of my head here where it was, and it's not as long as the rest of my hair is. But so yeah, my doctor, he did absolutely nothing. And then of course, you know, I ended up in the hospital with a necrotizing fasciitis, the flesh-eating disease as they call it. And it required several surgeries. I had several lymphodemas when I went into the hospital. I had one here that they cut off, and I had stitches here. I have a scar. I don't know if you can see it. It's like right here. You can see just a little bit. Now, I have had several here and over here, and so I've grown back this hair many times. And the weird thing is that when I was little, I was a towhead, you know, the white blonde. And then as I got older, it got darker, but always blonde. And but when the hair falls out from lymphedema, it grows back in jet black. I mean, it is so black, it's unbelievable, and it's really weird. But then it turns back to blonde. It's the strangest thing. It really is. So over the years, you can't tell. My hair is like an ash blonde, a dark ash blonde over the years, having babies. When I was pregnant with my second daughter, because I had naturally curly hair, my hair went straight, and she was born with beautiful curls. So she got all my curls. I was pregnant with my first daughter. My hair turned strawberry blonde. People are like, did you put a henna rinse in your hair? I'm like, I haven't done anything to it. I don't know why. And Emily, sure enough, born with strawberry blonde hair. It was hilarious. But yeah, I think they're both brunettes right now. They color their hair a lot, so, but they both look good as blondes and brunettes. They're beautiful girls. I love my girls. They're wonderful. And I'm very lucky. You know, it was just the three of us most of the time. And I protected them from the violence that was going on. So their father, my first husband, they never knew the things that he did. But in the state of Ohio, if you're getting a divorce and you have kids, you have to go to this parenting class. And him and I went together, and we sat down together, you know, and everything. And we noticed that there was like, the women were sitting on this side of the room, and the men were sitting on that side of the room, and we were the only ones sitting as a couple. And it was because we weren't fighting. We were getting a divorce, and we were both fine with that. I mean, it took him like 18 months to finally, you know, give it up. Plus he met somebody else, thank God. So, because I was already living with my second husband, we were engaged, and just waiting for, you know, my first husband to finally say, yes, let's get a divorce. And so your kids have to take your kids to see this like family therapist, and you get this little certificate, and you can get divorced, right? So, oh, sorry, that's my phone. Sorry. My daughter, her youngest daughter's daycare is closed for the week, so she's been bringing my granddaughter, my 2-year-old granddaughter Cassie. She's been bringing her over, and that was just a message to let her know that she's on her way. She absolutely loves her grampy. I tell you what, she just stuck to him like glue. But she comes in here, she says, Nana. And I say, what? And she goes, just be a little bit. I can't understand the words she's saying. I just look at her and say, is that English? But she's getting better at talking. The problem is that she has the older sister who talks for her. So she didn't have to talk. And so, sorry, everything's falling over. And that happened with my girls too. They're 3 years apart, just like my granddaughters are. And my youngest daughter, she didn't talk, and I was worried about her. And I asked the pediatrician about it. Had the best pediatrician in the world. He said he was Indian, And he said, you know, how old is Emily now? And I told him. He said, does Emily do a lot of talking for her? I said, Emily does everything for her. She's like a mother hen. Gets her bottles, everything. And he said, well, that's right, because she wouldn't walk either. I knew she could, so she would hold on with one finger to like the couch. And one day something scared her and she took off running, realized she wasn't holding on to anything. So she finally started, and so I had, it was hard because Emily wasn't, you know, very old. It was hard for me to get her to not do things so that Annie would do them on her own. And eventually she did. So we know eventually Cassie will. And she just turned 2 in March. Yeah, because my granddaughters are March and April, one right after the other. Little side note here, my oldest daughter, who was getting married in August, broke up with her fiance. He was cheating on her. And so the wedding's off. And I can't say that I'm happy. I feel bad for her. But I knew he was a jerk. And it was one of those things where I didn't want to say anything. You know what I mean? Don't say anything. Let her work it out for herself. Hopefully, before she gets married, she'll realize, you know, what a jerk he is. And she finally did. And so, yeah, she kicked him out. His parents, she called his mother, and his mother told him, pack your shit and get out and leave her the hell alone. Because when she called, his mom answered the phone, and her first words were, what do you do now? So they love Emily and the girls to death. And they even told Emily when they had broken up before, and she had gotten back together with him, and they told her not to. But she did anyway. So, hopefully, this is the end of that. You know, he's very self-centered, extremely self-centered. And poor Emily, you know, she would do everything. She took care of the girls, she worked, she cooked, she paid all the bills. I said, what do you do with his money? You know what I mean? And he wanted her to put her money in his account. It's like she lied and told him that she couldn't, that her job had required her to have a special card for her paychecks. She did have the option, but she told him she didn't. And I don't blame her, because he just spent it all, you know? And it's not like he doesn't have a good job. He works at FedEx, right? Plus he works, every year he works security down at Old Orchard Beach. And this year he was hired on by a company that does this club. It's a big club, and they do concerts and stuff there. So he's not working the pier this year. He's working, you know, for this company, who he got the job because of working at the pier. And he's not ugly. He's a good-looking guy, and he has lost a lot of weight. And you know, he looked good even before he lost weight, but he lost a bunch of weight and is really physically fit. And these little, you know, hoes come up and, you know, talk to him. He's a bouncer or whatever you want to call him. And he starts talking to him. He starts cheating on my daughter. It's the same time they broke up last time. It was the same thing. He was dating a stripper, and he went out to a club one night and went home with this woman who is my age. And yeah, it just, so, you know, and he's the type of person, nothing's ever his fault. It's always ever, I mean, he even blames me because I've been divorced, and he said to Emily, it's so easy for her to walk away because you saw your mother get divorced afterwards because she didn't, blah, blah, blah. And I said, let's clarify something. Number one, my first 2 husbands were abusive, and so yes, I divorced them. My 3rd husband, he divorced me, and my 4th husband, he left me the day we came home from our honeymoon. So technically we were married and together for 10 days. And it was ridiculous of him, you know. And yeah, I divorced him, but, you know, we didn't live together as husband and wife. It never happened. It's like, I was like, never another mama boy ever again. So, you know, when I met guys after, I was like, because it's either with your mother. No, My 3rd and 4th husband both lived with their mamas, and they couldn't handle being away from them. My third husband, we were married for 4.5 months. And when he moved out back to his mama, he never really moved in, really, And so yeah, so I'm getting way off track. This is supposed to be about my fibromyalgia. I'm sorry. Um, so anyway, so the fibromyalgia, the couldn't get it through my insurance. The doctor's nurse called me and said that because of 2 other medications I took, they want me to use that first. The cream for my knees, I guess they thought it was going to slather over my whole body. I'm like, no, it's for my knees. Because I said if I put it everywhere that I hurt from the fibromyalgia, the only part of my body that wouldn't have it on would be my stomach and my chest. I said, because everything else hurts from the fibromyalgia, right? This water comes completely filled to the top. So, got a few dripples. This is the Adirondack water. Oh my god, I love it. I get it at our local grocery store there. You get a 6-pack, and they are 2 for $5. This one is peach. I generally get the peach and the lime, and sometimes I get the grape. They have strawberry, orange, pomegranate. The strawberry to me tastes like strawberry milk, which I love strawberry milk, but it's weird when you want water. It doesn't. The pomegranate's okay. It just gives me heartburn, so I don't do that. And I'm not a big orange person. We've got the orange before, and it tastes good, but I'm not a big orange person. Like I said, generally get the lime. Oh, they have lemon. I get the lime and I get the peach. They're really, really flavorful. And like I said, 2 6-packs for $5. Can't beat that with a stick, right? But yeah, the bottles come filled all the way up to here. So you have to be careful when you open them, when you take the first sip. But, usually bottle C is here because I already took a drink of it. It doesn't even look like it because most only come filled to there. This one comes filled up to here. And I can't open them by myself, so Meryl opens them for me and then closes it when I need it. So, very peachy, and I love peach. Now that it doesn't have that nasty artificial peach flavor. It tastes like peach. It's actually like almost like an essence. You can taste it, but it's not overpowering. If you can get the Adirondack water where you live, I would highly recommend it. So anyway, I keep getting off track. So the fibromyalgia, the nurse says, oh, you can't, blah, blah, blah. So I called my insurance company and talked to them, and they said the only reason why the script was kicked back was because of the way it was written. It was written as taking 2 30 milligrams, and my insurance would prefer that I took 1 60 milligram. And they had nothing from my doctor's office, no request for prior authorization, absolutely nothing. The only thing they had was the pharmacy tried to fill the Cymbalta, and they kicked it back. So I called back to my doctor's office, and I said to Lori, the nurse, I said, I talked to main care, and you guys didn't even try to get a prior authorization. I said, and the medication I'm taking, they said, has nothing to do with getting this prescription filled. Let me tell you what it is. So I told her, and she said, oh, I said it was possible. I was like, no, you didn't. I said, because if you would have said it was possible, I would have said to you, find out exactly why. I don't want to hear it's possible. And she's a nurse. She can't tell people that kind of thing. And so she just flat out lied to me. And she started out with her, lying to my fiance on the phone and me calling all pissed off. She's like, you need to settle down. I said, listen here. I said, you're not the one who's suffering with all this fucking pain. I said, so don't tell me to calm down. I said, when you guys, I have a prescription for a medication that's going to help. And I'm suffering because you guys aren't doing what you're supposed to do. She said, well, I'll send a note to your doctor, which I haven't seen her yet, because my doctor left, and so I got this new doctor. And so she's like, she said, I'll send a note to the doctor. I said, did you reschedule my appointment, which she was supposed to do last week? And she said, no. She's like, let me look. No, it's still, I said, I can't make it. It's at 7:50 in the morning. We have to rent the wheelchair, and they don't open till 8. And I told them that week before last. And she, I'll change it, call you, blah, blah, blah. She said, well, I sent it. She said, usually the customer service representatives do that. And I sent them a note, and nobody's called you? I said, no. So we talked a little more about that. And she finally said, okay, I can change your appointment for you. She said, so you can't make it on Monday? I said, I can make it on Monday if it was at a later time so we could go to the, pharmacy to, rent the wheelchair. And it's a huge pharmacy. It's a medical supply type pharmacy. And so she's like, well, I have this one, this one. She has 3 different options for me besides the one I have. I'm like, why did they offer that to me in the first place? So I said to her, yeah, we could use it 3:10 on Monday. So, so my doctor called me. And very nice, she's very nice. And we talked. And I told her what the problem was. She's like, oh, well, we could do 1 of 3 things. We have this, this, and this. So it ended up, she just wrote the script for 60 milligrams. And I got it yesterday. They didn't have a problem with it, because that's what they said they wanted. The insurance did. And so I got it yesterday. And, I was telling you guys about the 4 years with the lymphedema, and my doctor kept saying that it was diabetic ulcers. I was in and out of the hospital with MRSA like 6 times. It was just ridiculous. And I'm suing that doctor. And, I said I get state health care. Part of my lawsuit is I want him to have to pay back main care for all the office visits and hospital stays because he didn't do anything for me. Absolutely nothing. And yet, they charge you for it and my insurance pays for it, but it was his fault because he did nothing about it. And when I was finally diagnosed with lymphedema and then I was diagnosed with the pyoderma, that was it. He didn't want to see me anymore because he was embarrassed. So if I had to go to the doctor for something, there was a physician's assistant, they would give me an appointment with her instead. And so yeah, he felt like a fool because he kept saying that it wasn't lymphedema. I'm like, a surgeon told me it was. I didn't come up with this on my own. Sweet Jesus, you know what I mean? If you read about it, you'll see how it's hereditary, mostly with females, and I told him everybody in my family has it, just that mine were really, really bad. I mean, I had some that were like this, that big. They were humongous, and they're painful, and they're disgusting, because they're just these, and this is gross, so you might want to cover your ears for a minute. They get a round head like this, and it pops open. You use a warm cloth to bring it out, warm, wet cloth, or sometimes they just come out on their own. But until they come out, they're extremely painful. And then when it breaks open, it's like blood and pus. It's really disgusting, but it feels so much better, and then it heals. And so, like I said, I had over 400 of them, and I had like almost 70 of them in my mouth. And the ones in my mouth, they pop real fast because it's warm and wet in there. It's really disgusting. So, okay, it's okay, you can unplug your ears now. So yeah, because I want him to pay back for doing nothing. He was paid for doing absolutely nothing. And I think that he should have to pay them back because they paid for it. And he didn't do his job. So anyway, so the fibromyalgia. So I got the medication yesterday. Do I look a little different? Well, I should, because I feel so much better. Oh my God. And I'm sorry, but it's a fucking miracle. It's unfreaking believable. It truly is. I mean, it's like, okay, what's going on here? Where's all that horrible pain and everything? I took a nap yesterday afternoon. I fell asleep last night normally. And it made me sick to my stomach. And so Meryl and I were up with that at about 11 o'clock last night. So then I went back to bed, and I felt my stomach getting icky again. So it was probably like 15-20 minutes later. So he got me back up for that, and we did all that, came back to bed. I took medicine for my stomach again, and came back to bed, and I went to sleep like a normal person. And I woke up because my phone was ringing, because I always keep my phone right here. And the first time I was like, oh, that's my doctor's office, what do they want, And I'm like half right? So they called back. And I'm like, well, it must be serious if they call right back, because usually they just leave a voicemail, right? So I answered. It's Lori from my doctor's office. And she said, I just want to let you know that this is involved. I said, I already got it. She's like, okay. I'm like, okay, thanks, Lori. She's like, okay, bye. So I listened to my voicemail. It's my doctor. Hi, it's Dr. Alexander. Just so you know, you can pick up this Cymbalta whenever, And I got it yesterday. My daughter went and picked it up because Meryl had already gone to work. And we were watching the baby. She had a job interview. And she has a part-time job, but she wants to get a full-time job. And Emily's a cleaner. When she was little and we would clean house, we would set Annie on the couch because she never really did anything. She would, actually make things worse. So we'd set her on the couch, and me and Emily would clean the house. And so Annie's not real good at cleaning because we did that with her for a long time. It's our fault, But it was easier to get things done without her in the mix because she made things work. So I used to say Annie could get dirty from a piece of white bread. It was amazing. I mean, when she was a baby, she loved eggs and toast, and she liked soft-boiled eggs. So I would make her soft-boiled eggs and toast. And sometimes she would lick the butter off her toast and want more, and I'd put butter on it. And I'd get her up, and get her bath, and we'd have breakfast, and I'd make her, her soft-boiled egg and her toast. And then she would take her toast and put it on her head, and I just gave her bath. So I started giving her breakfast before bath, and I started cutting her toast up into little pieces. And so she would put it in with her hard-boiled egg, and I would, mix it up for her so she could eat it that way. So no more toast on the head. But yeah, like I said, she could get dirty from a piece of white bread. It was so funny. She was so cute when she was little. I had a guy, seriously, offer me $3 million for my daughter. I was like, no, you are creepy. Get away from me. It was, he said, I promise you that she will be draped in diamonds and pearls and whatever. I was like, no. I mean, oh my God, that's creepy. I mean, that's not, and I had a photographer come up to me and ask me if he could photograph my girls for a calendar and blah, blah, and I'm like, no, I don't know who you are. Get away from me. I mean, because my girls are beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful. And they don't look anything alike. People are like, do they have the same dad? I'm like, yes, they have the same dad. It's just that they both, it's unbelievable. They both, we would have liked to have a brown-eyed blonde and a blue-eyed with dark hair, because my ex-husband, their dad, he has dark hair and blue eyes, and I have brown eyes and blonde hair. And so we were hoping for one or the other. Well, Emily was born with strawberry blonde hair, and she has greenish hazel eyes, and she has her hair then started getting darker as she got older, but she has these hazel green eyes. Well, then along comes Annie. She was a blonde. She still is a blonde. I mean, she's a brunette right now because of dyeing her hair, but she was born a blonde, and her too, the hazel green eyes, same as Emily, except she's got, in one of her eyes, she's got a brown fleck. It's the weirdest thing. Where the green is, there's there's this little square, and it's brown. It's just, It's the strangest thing. And she's got these huge eyes. Oh my god, they're gorgeous. And her eyelashes go on forever. She has to be careful what mascara she uses because she blinks and it gets everywhere, you know. And she's a makeup guru, so yeah, she's got that covered. She's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Emily is too. I used to say Emily was born with boobs because I don't have any, but my sisters and my mom, I took after my dad's side of the family, my grandmother. Unfortunately, not my mom's side of the family where everybody is very well developed. And so Emily got that, and Annie didn't. But and I said, I'm sorry, you know. And it's not like, you know, I wear a C-cup, it's not bad. And so, so it's not, it's just that when you have a sister, and I know what that's like, because my sister, you know, I think I wasn't like, she started getting boobs in like 5th grade. And by the time we were in junior high school, it was like, I still didn't want to wear a bra because there was no point. And I hated them, and of course, you know, she had to. And I used to say to her, if I were you, I'd dress differently. She wore everything up to here, you know. I'm like, you know. And she was very self-conscious about it. And I didn't want Emily to be that way either. So I didn't discourage her from wearing what she wanted to wear. And she was always very tasteful in what she wore, but she didn't hide the fact that she had boobs because it was just something, it's natural. It isn't something that she did to herself, it's natural. And she worked at Walmart for a while. Oh my god, terrible company to work for, don't overdo it. So they had to wear blue shirts and tan pants, and she got these blue crew neck shirts, you know, the ones like this, right? And she had guys coming through her line. The one guy set down a cell phone, and she's like, what is this? And he said, can you put your number in there? And she had a guy come through, and he was looking at her, and his wife got pissed and said something to management about it. And they told Emily something about the way she was dressed. She's like, it's a crew neck shirt. I can't hide the fact that here are my boobs, you know, but these guys are, you know. And it was just, it was horrible. I was like, what? She's got a crew neck shirt on. You can't see anything. It's, obviously, if she has boobs, what's she supposed to do with them? Take them off? You know what I mean? So really, and it wasn't her fault. You know what I mean? And, yeah, it was a horrible company. She hated working there. It was horrible. What they do is they train people on the floor. And Emily had, you know, cash register experience from her previous job. And so what they do is they train people on the floor, and if they have cash register experience, they train them on the cash register. That way, if they need them, they call them up. They pay them less than they pay the cashiers. Yeah. So, yeah, she went to work for Target. So, oh, that was when she was in high school, so that was many moons ago. But, so yeah, she's a cleaner. She's got this industrial vacuum cleaner that's got the pack on it. You put it on your back, and she loves it. She comes over here and she cleans everything for me. And she does, and she sprays this and does this and does that. You know, she's very, very cautious about everything. I mean, you know, bed bugs are just everywhere. And so we bought our new beds, and she's like, make sure you get the cover that doesn't have the bed bugs and blah, 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 blah. So we did. We got the special covers, so no bed bugs could ever possibly, you know, because she has cleaned houses and homes that have had bed bugs. And so, you know, she, like I said, she's a cleaner. And she was going to start her own cleaning company with her fiance. And it was his suggestion because she has worked for 2 different cleaning companies, and she was the crew leader at the one cleaning company. And the boss there, his son came to work for him, and things just fell apart, and people were quitting left and right, and she was working so much, and they have special pay for jobs that are more hazardous and whatever, and he wasn't paying the extra for that, and she was, oh my gosh, she was running around like a chicken with her head cut off. And finally she's like, I can't take this anymore. You're going to have to hire some people. I can't keep doing this, you know. And you're not giving me the pay for the hazard pay that we're supposed to get. And it, like I said, it just became a mess. And she's just like, I can't take it anymore. And she left. And she went to a different cleaning company. And they just did people's homes. The other place, they did everything. And a lot of hazardous stuff, like I said. So he said to her, because she was assistant manager at Olympia Sports, and she hated it. And she had a part-time night job at a local place here. It's in Freeport, where all the outlet stores are. And she works in customer service on the phone, because a lot of people, you know, order stuff from there, from all the outlets there in Freeport. And but like I said, it's only part-time. And so he said, why don't you quit your job at Olympia and we'll start this cleaning business, blah, blah, blah. And she said, okay. So, you know, she's getting things together. He's not doing anything. He's not doing crap. And she's trying and trying and trying. And like I said, they ended up, yeah, he's cheating. She kicked him out, whatever. And so she went for 2 job interviews with 2 different cleaning companies. And so the one called for like a manager supervisor, and she said, oh, I can do that, dude, before crew leader, you know, whatever. She goes into the job interview, and the guy's like, no, the manager position means that you basically run the whole company. And she's like, oh, okay. And she's like, I don't think I'm going to get that job. She said, a crew leader, yes, but the whole entire company, no. She said, I can learn if you wanted to teach me, but, you know, because she's very smart. Emily got pregnant when she was 17, and she barely found out that she was pregnant. She cried. She came in. She's like, I wrote you a letter, and she's crying. And I said, well, sit down. So she sat down. Me and Annie are sitting there, and she's crying. She unfolds the paper that she wrote me, and Annie's like, what, you're pregnant? And she said, yeah. And she's crying. So I pulled her over and put her on my lap, and I held her, and I said, everything will be okay. Don't worry about it. It'll be okay. I'm here for you. We're all here for you. Whatever decision you make, it's up to you. So, yeah, she found out that her boyfriend, who she was engaged to, they had dated for a very long time. Yeah, they were still in high school, but he was cheating on her with this girl, and she went to catch him, and I'm driving her. We hear this girl's boyfriend was on his way down there too, so we stopped and picked him up. Emily sort of knew him a little bit from high school, but not really well, and sure enough, they were together. And well, Emily ended up dating the kid whose girlfriend was the one cheating with her boyfriend. And then we tell you, when she was pregnant, she was sick. She had really bad morning sickness that would be all day. He would pick her up and carry her to the bathroom. He would hold her hair back, and he had a problem with other people throwing up. It would make him sick, and he'd hold it back and hold it back. And they had beautiful pictures taken with her pregnant belly, and she was wrapped in like cloth, like up top, but her belly was bare, and his hands from behind on her belly. Beautiful pictures. And he went to every single appointment, every doctor's appointment. He, you know, of course, right there when the baby was born, and that was his baby. He knew biologically it wasn't, but he was daddy. He loved her so much. He still loves her to this day. But after she was born, and it was time to take on the responsibility of paying for the baby, because Emily turned 18, so she had the baby when she was 18, and because she was so sick, she couldn't go to school. And so after Ellie was born, she went and took her GED test, and they said, well, you're not going to pass. You didn't take any GED classes or whatever. She said, just let me take the test. It's in 2 parts. So she took the first part, no problem, goes and takes second part, passes with flying colors, and she can walk with a graduating class, which was a year earlier than she was supposed to graduate from high school anyway. And then they're like, oh no, well, we're not letting the people with a GED, blah, blah, blah. walk at graduation anymore. We're going to do their own graduation. So anyway, but but yeah, she got her GED the year before she was supposed to graduate, and they're like, "Oh, you won't be able to pass the test." I was like, "Whatever," but she did. But yeah, when it came time for the responsibility of paying for stuff for the baby, he would work for a couple of days at one job and quit and get another job, and he would waste money and, you know, just stuff like, he just wasn't responsible with it. And then he got in trouble with the law because he was smoking marijuana. He never did it in the house or anything like that. And now it's legal in Portland, Maine. And but Emily's like, if you get in trouble again, she's like, she's like, I can't be with you. And sure enough, he got in trouble again, and she broke up with him, and he ended up in prison. He had done some things that we weren't aware of, and we were shocked, actually. So yeah, and he was in prison for 2 years. And when he got out, he wanted to see my granddaughter, and at first my daughter's like, no way. But his mom and dad were grandparents. You know, we treated them just like they were regular, and Ellie loved them to death. And her Gigi, that's what she called her Gigi. We don't know why, that's just the name she came up with, and it stuck. And so she went over there, and, you know, he came over, and she sort of remembered him a little bit, but not really. And he's like, I want to be a part of her life, blah, blah, blah. And Emily's like, you know, she didn't know what to do. But eventually, he didn't make an effort anymore to try and see her. And Emily's like, it's just like it was before, you know. It's a responsibility factor. For some reason, he can't handle it. Which is a shame because, like I said, when Emily was pregnant, he did everything. He cooked, like, he'd come and knock on my door. He's like, I'm cooking breakfast, you want something to eat, you know, or whatever. And he knew grilled cheese is one of my go-to things. I'm making some grilled cheese, you want some? You know what I mean? Good kid, real good kid. A good-looking kid, too. And but the responsibility thing just absolutely killed him. He couldn't handle it. Which is such a shame because, like I said, otherwise he's a great kid, you know. He had a job, a good job. He was the kitchen manager at a restaurant in the mall. And that's when, you know, he got in trouble and went to prison. And we were like, well, hi, you were making good money and you had, you know, a good job. And we just, you know what I mean, we didn't understand. And he said that he did what he did because he was trying to make money for him and Emily to move out on their own because they were living with us. And we weren't in a hurry for them to get out on their own. It was, you know, we had 3 bedrooms. They had the largest bedroom. And the funny thing is, I had just started dating Meryl. We started dating in July, end of July. Emily found out she was pregnant August 8th. And and so I said to Meryl, I was like, I don't know if you're going to want to keep dating me, but my oldest daughter, Emily, that he had already met, I was like, she's pregnant. And he's like, oh, okay, you know, no problem. And of course, you know, he was there throughout the pregnancy. Ellie was born, and he was a proud, very proud grampy, and she just loved him to death. And so, if she wanted to be rocked to sleep and stuff like that, she came to Nan. She wanted to play, she went to Grampy. And I would do this thing, I would holler for him, I'd be like, Grampy! So she figured that's how you get his attention. She'd be right behind him and be like, Grampy! She's screaming, and he jumps like... It was so funny, but I don't know how many little picnics he had on the kitchen floor, you know, with her. Little picnics they would have. He would take her outside, take her down to the swings, and I mean, he was just a proud grampy. And then when Emily got pregnant again, and Cassie was born, for some reason, like I said, she was just her grampy's baby. I mean, she didn't even want her mother. All she wanted was Grampy. And Emily, because at this point, her and her fiance were living together. Of course, it was his baby, right? So, she would bring the baby over just because she knew that Grampy could settle her down. Now, she was very sick in the beginning, and they couldn't figure it out. Here, she's lactose intolerant, but so they had her on soy formula. Here, she's allergic to soy, so she had to have this special formula. Oh my God, it was so expensive. I mean, I bought it a couple of times for Emily because it was $30 a can. It was ridiculous, and so, you know. But she never liked baby cereal. So one day Grampy decided, I'm going to make a little cream of wheat. See if she likes that. Oh my God, she loved it. So, every day she'd come over because Emily was working, and Grampy babysat. Every morning at like 5 o'clock she'd bring the baby over. And she could have put her in daycare, but she'd have been crying miserable all day because all she wanted was Grampy. So that went on for, oh my gosh, practically a year. And she'd have cream of wheat with Grampy in the morning. And she still, to this day, if Emily brings her over, she doesn't want Emily to leave, like a typical kid. But as soon as she sees Grampy and is handing off to Grampy, she'll still cry, but then she realizes, wait, I like Grampy. And she hugs him, and she always lays her head on his shoulder. And that's how she sleeps. She'll get mad at him if she can't crawl up in his lap and go to sleep. It has to be his right knee. He sat her on the left, and she got mad, and he sat on the right. She was fine, went right to sleep. I mean, instant sleep. She likes to sit on his right knee. He holds her with his arm, and she falls asleep. And she was, for a while there, she couldn't fall asleep unless she was laying on the floor and had her blanket. And so she would take it, like, went out one day to go to the bathroom. This is when I could still walk. And there she is laying on the kitchen floor, because we have a huge kitchen, laying on the kitchen floor with her blanket sleeping. And I said, Emily. She said, what? She's in the bedroom. I said, you gotta come see this. She came out, she was like, oh my God. We didn't know, what was up with that with her. But she, that was just for a couple months, and then she, went back to, Grampy, sleeping with Grampy. But, yeah, I'm, just going on and on, because I feel so great, because I got this medicine, and I don't have all that pain. I have a little bit of pain, but that's nothing compared to what I was in. And I still have, some tingliness and some, numbness. But it's a lot better than what it was, because my hands, they'd be freezing to death. Oh my God. Meryl gets out these hand warmers. It's the middle of summer. July is the hottest. It's like they say in Maine, there's 2 seasons, winter and the 4th of July. And here I am with hand warmers in socks over my hands because they're so cold. And it's from the fibromyalgia, which of course I didn't know. And I said, how did my doctor miss it? I keep wanting to say that because it just seems like it was so easily diagnosed by the doctor in the ER. All the symptoms, I read about it, and I was like, they're all right there, every single symptom. And I was like, he didn't go looking for it. That's why he didn't find it, because he never went looking for anything. So, yeah, the medicine is working well. Besides making me sick to my stomach, I feel better. So I don't mind being sick to my stomach because I know it'll go away eventually. You get used to it. And I have special stomach medication that I take for my stomach, which I need a new prescription from my doctor. And so I see her on Monday. She said to me on the phone, she said, we really need to discuss your list of medications because it's so long. And since I had the flu, I haven't been taking my potassium, but they took my blood and they check your kidneys, and that's how they check your potassium level. But I couldn't take their huge pills. I have a hard time. They're rounded just right to be able to take, which is better than some of these smaller pills that aren't, and you can't take them. But they're huge, and since I was so sick, I was afraid that if I took it, I would throw it right back up. So I haven't taken it because, like I said, I haven't had a chance to have my stomach hasn't been back to normal. And now with this medication, you know, but they didn't say anything about my potassium level. So if my potassium level is fine, there's no point in me taking that honking pill anymore. I mean, at one point, it got to where they were giving me so much potassium, my potassium level was too high. And I had to take a medication to take it out of my body. This is while I was in the hospital. And so, you know, I don't want it to get too high because I don't want to take that medicine, because that medicine makes you have to go potty. If you know what I mean. That's how they get it out of your system. I'm like, okay, thanks for giving me the runs, you know. It's your fault, because nobody was looking at the potassium level coming back from the lab until one night the nurse said, I have some potassium for you. I said, I don't take potassium at night. I take it during the day. And she looked, she's like, oh my gosh, your potassium level's so high. So she put a call into the doctor, whatever, and they started me on this medication that basically gives you the runs. And I'm like, gee, thanks. I can hardly walk, but you know, thanks a lot, appreciate it. And then my potassium level went low again. And so I had to start taking it, and then they lowered the dose. And at one point, I had to go into the hospital, and they gave me IV potassium because it was so low. And I don't know why it's so low. I have no idea, but my mom has high potassium. So there's a lot of things she can't eat and things that I should be eating for it. So yeah. I mean, I know I'm just going on about this subject, that subject, and whatever, and told you about my kids and all that. But it's, you know.
Good morning. It is now time to record your vital signs.
It's 10 o'clock. That's I have an iPad that connects to a couple of different devices to check my vital signs, because my blood pressure is really low. They had me on blood pressure medication, and I'm dizzy, right? I'm so dizzy I can hardly walk, and I like fall over. At one point I sat in the bed, my body just crumbled. And one day I got a new nurse, and she comes, she takes my blood. She said, your blood pressure is so low. She's like, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I told her I'd take 2 different blood pressure medications. She's like, honey, you need to stop. And I said, I've been so dizzy for months since I got out of the hospital. I just so dizzy all the time, I didn't know why. And they said, oh, it's because you spend too much time in bed, or blah, blah, blah. So I stopped taking it, and the dizziness went away. But my blood pressure is still low. Usually it runs, I'd say the top number is about in the 90s, and the bottom number in the high 50s, 60s. And so, you know, when I'm upset or something, it does go up and it has a normal reading. And they're like, oh, your blood pressure looks good. I'm like, yeah, well, actually that's high for me, because usually it's very low. But check that, they check my heartbeat. And it's a scale, there's a scale connected to it too, to do my weight. But because I can't stand on my own, I have to hold on to things, it wouldn't give me a proper reading. The first time I did it, it said I weighed 16 pounds. And then, you know, it just was, I couldn't get a proper reading on it. And the last time, you know, they weighed me at the hospital, I was 161, and I got on the scale at one point, and Meryl like was sort of holding on to me, and it was 157, and I'm thinking now I'm about 150 after being sick so long and hardly eating anything. And so, because I just have like some chicken noodle soup, which last night didn't stay with me because of the sambusa, but that's all I'll have all day, is just that one, you know, thing. And so yeah, so they check all my vitals. It goes into their office, and there's someone there monitoring them, because they do it for a lot of different patients. And it does my pulse and my heart rate, and you know, the little thing you put on your finger, and everything's wireless. We have it plugged in, charging, but everything's wireless. The blood pressure machine, everything is all wireless. It's really cool. And then my tablet, she wakes me up at 10 o'clock to tell me it's time to do my vital statistics. And if I don't get up and do it, when she says, she'll say it again, and then she'll say, no vital statistics were recorded. Your clinician will be calling you. Because sometimes I don't get up and do it. And sometimes I do it early because I have a doctor's appointment or something. You can do it whenever you want to. You can just go hit the buttons on the screen. It asks you a bunch of questions. How do you feel? Blah, 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 and all that. And so we go through that. And you can do it anytime. Like, I can go in and just check my blood pressure, which we have done several times because my blood pressure gets low and I get dizzy. And so when it gets really low, I have a protein shake. What else do I have? Just eat something, and it usually comes back into a range that's not scary. I mean, I've seen my blood pressure in the 20s, so I know what it's like. It's scary. It's very scary. But the funny thing is that I go into the hospital, and my blood pressure is usually really low, and I'm septic, and they're pumping me full of fluids because my blood pressure is so low, and they're doing all kinds of stuff to get my blood pressure up, and yet when I leave the hospital they want me to take blood pressure medication. And like I said, my nurse is like, your blood pressure is way low, you need to stop taking those. And even though I stopped taking them, it's still not in the normal range, but it was wicked low when I was taking them. And I went dizzy for months because my doctor's an idiot. So, I went from a moron who did nothing to an idiot.
Good morning. It is now time to record your vital signs.
See, told you. Told you she'd do it again. So anyway, sometimes when my blood pressure is low, they call Meryl. They don't call me. They call Meryl, and they ask, how's she doing? Blah blah blah. If something's not right, they call and they talk to you about it. But my nurse is coming today. Love my nurse to pieces. Love you, Deb. She's just awesome, and we're going to start physical therapy again because that's supposed to be a good thing for people with fibromyalgia. And since I don't have that horrible, horrible pain anymore, I'm looking forward to it because when I build up my muscles, I should be able to walk. I know it's not going to happen overnight, but you know what? It's going to happen. And my granddaughter said to me, Nana, you're going to be better in 8 weeks. I said, I wish, baby girl, but that might be the truth. When my daughter was 6, she realized, that some people are young and some people are old. And my dad was in the bathroom brushing his hair, the hair that he had. He always wore high and tight. And she said, Granddad, you're going to be in heaven soon. And a week later to that day, he died of a massive heart attack in his sleep. And my mom said, I'm not worried about him being in heaven because she believes that God gave Annie the sign to let everybody know that he's in heaven. Well, my dad was a minister. You know what I mean? There's no, doubts in my mother's mind, but Annie saying that gave her like a peace. You know what I mean? They were married for 42 years. I was born on their 12th wedding anniversary. And my mom's a minister, my dad's a minister. And, so, yeah, that's my phone. So, yeah, so her saying I'd be better in 8 weeks, wouldn't it be something if I was? Out of the mouth of babes, right? So yeah, I better wrap this up. It's almost an hour long, and they'll probably give me hell about uploading it. So if you stayed with me through the whole thing, thank you. I know I just gabbing away, but I feel so much better. It's amazing. But I gotta go. So I'll talk to all y'all in my next video. I love talking with you guys, and thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope you all have a good day. Bye.